Revolver. Aynen öyle. Bulma almasayız.
The speaker talking about his hopes.
Founded in the 13th century in 1207 by King John, and in its early days it was used as a port to send soldiers to Ireland. Liverpool lies on the River Mersey at the mouth of Listen to the speaker talking about his heritage. I'm going to talk to you today about my home city, which is Liverpool. I was born and raised there, and that makes me a Liverpudlian. Liverpool was founded in the 13th century in 1207 by King John, and in its early days it was used as a port to send soldiers to Ireland. Liverpool lies on the River Mersey, at the mouth of the River Mersey, and so it's always been a port. For many years, in fact for 3 centuries, Liverpool survived largely on fishing and farming, and it remained small with a population of less than 1,000 until the mid-17th century. From around 1660 onwards, the town began to grow in importance. First, cargoes arrived from America, the population grew rapidly, and by the early 18th century was the second biggest city in England, thriving mainly on the slave trade. In 1799, 45,000 slaves were carried from Liverpool to the Americas and from Africa. The first overseas consulate of the United States of America was founded in Liverpool at around that time. The slave trade was banned in England in the early 19th century, but at this time, Liverpool was growing in importance because of the Industrial Revolution. The cotton industry in the north of England, in Lancashire, was thriving at that time, and Liverpool became the port for the import of raw cotton and the export of textiles. Liverpool became a city in 1880, and the University of Liverpool, one of the oldest in England, was founded in 1881. By 1900, Liverpool had a population of 700,000, including a very large Irish community. It was in the early 20th century that Liverpool's Anglican Cathedral began to be built, and it is now the largest 20th century Gothic cathedral. There is now also a Catholic cathedral in Liverpool, and Liverpool is one of 2 cities outside London that has 2 cathedrals. During the Second World War, Liverpool was the control centre for the Battle of the Atlantic. Many, many ships went out and were sunk during the Second World War, and many naval ships were escorting the ships carrying essential supplies to Britain during the Second World War from America. In 1962, and this was a big year for Liverpool, the Beatles began to be famous, and of course Liverpool is always associated with the Beatles. A bit earlier than that, Liverpool was the first city to be twinned with a German city after the Second World War. It was twinned with Cologne. That was in 1952. Since those mid-20th century days, Liverpool has re-established itself as a centre of arts, music and literature, and in 2008 Liverpool became the European capital of culture. We have famous poets there. Some of the most famous poets in Britain are Liverpool poets, and there are now over 500,000 inhabitants living in the city, which also has the famous